Well, missus, this is going to be one hell of a build. This is a Tru Trac front 10 spline diff centre, brand spanking new, and we're going to be building this into a ultimate peg casing with a few other bells and whistles as well, and it's going to be a seriously over the top, seriously strong diff 10 spline for a customer who bought my lovely diff case number 500 with a special G2 in it, which I missed terribly, and he wants this one to go in the front and never have to come out again, and it won't. This is going to be probably the ultimate 10 spline diff we've ever built in our lives. Welcome to a Tru Trac. Well, here we have a fairly old traditional Tru Trac which we've rebuilt. These are slightly different from the Ashcroft ATB. These are still an ATB, that's in old money a limited slip diff, but in technical language a limited slip diff works with plates and an ATB works via gears. This has got 3 gears, got one here, or one there, and one there, and it's got 3 bolts that hold them on. One of the problems with this is when you've got a bearing on here, you cannot get these bolts off, and also these bolts, there's not a lot of them. If you look at the Quaifs and the Ashcroft, which is almost a Quaif copy, they have more smaller bolts holding it together, giving more grip. However, Tru Tracs I have a great amount of respect for. They're beautifully made. This is probably circa 1985, 1990, and still going strong. Really well made, and unusually they are one of the only ATB manufacturers that I know of where you can buy a front powered one or a rear powered one. The front one doesn't have anywhere near as much grip as the rear, and the rear has more grip than a Quaif or a Ashcroft. So you can put a Quaif front or rear and they're the same with an Ashcroft front or rear, but with a Tru Trac you definitely don't want to put a rear into the front because your arms will get bigger unless that's your plan. But we have a special new, brand spanking new Tru Trac to build today, and that's unusual because they cost a hell of a lot of money, and they've also made some changes, and it's nice to see manufacturers improving their product and not just cutting their product by price and making it less good. So here's the insides of a Ashcroft ATB, which is very similar to a Quaif. Now what's happening here is you've got double the number of driving gears. The centre big gear here, when that comes out, which is always tricky on these, inside there you've got a shim pack and you've got a collar as well, but these have got 6 bolts holding it together, which sort of makes sense. So here is a Tru Trac 2022 style. As you can see, we now have twin bolts here, which means you can actually take this off without having to smash the bearing off there, which is an absolute pig to get out. I'm not taking it apart, but what I can tell you is the quality, the machining, the finish on this is just absolutely superb, and that's why these are about £725 plus VAT, which is quite stunning when you can buy an ash locker for £525 plus VAT. But it ain't made of metal like this. We know what these are like. These have been around for a very long time. They predate lockers. And one thing with Tru Tracs is, as you saw in the box, you can actually get them built front or rear power. Rear power gives you more clamping, front power gives you less clamping. If you put a rear Tru Trac in the front, you'll end up with arms like Arnie. But they are really beautifully made bits of kit. Serious quality, and we love them. And this is a 10 spline. And when we say quality, I mean, just look at that machining. Isn't that just gorgeous? And yes, I'm a sad bastard, but this sort of level of quality is up there with Quaif, and it's just absolutely beautifully made. There you go, there's a number for you to read. I don't know what it means. Oh, it says TT, that'd be Tru Trac. But I do know it's a front, and I do know it's the latest model. And it's really nice to see a manufacturer improving what they make versus cutting costs and making it cheaper and cutting back. This is beautiful. I will now go and take my meds. So this is probably the most comprehensive 10 spline build we're ever going to do. That is a Ashcroft heavy duty 3.5 front cut crown wheel and pinion in one of our peg casings, except that this is an ultra build casing, so it's got the very large series pinions bearing in the front with all our conversions. It's going to be super flanged and a Tru Trac put into it. This will be pretty much the ultimate 10 spline diff we'll ever build. In this video you'll hear us talk about the ultimate peg casing. The ultimate peg casing is a casing where we modify the bearing that sits at the end here, called the tail bearing. This is the tail bearing. This is a Timken 539707 bearing, and what we do is we machine out the top. You'll see now that this wall here is thinner than that wall there, and it allows us to fit a thumping great big bearing instead, and that is what makes it a ultimate bearing. There is a video showing exactly what we do, how we do it, but we'll carry on with this beautiful ultimate peg casing 10 spline Tru Trac ultimate build. And this is the adapter we use to allow us to put the standard seal in, which is the twin-lipped later seal, but still have the big bearing. So quite a complex little conversion. Timken bearings on and crown wheel going on. And there it is. This is an absolute beauty. So what you've got is a brand spanking new Tru Trac front with a heavy duty 3.5 crown wheel and pinion with the full ultra build spec with our own CR80 ears, 12.9 grade carrier bolts with Nord locks. The casing itself, obviously being ultra build, has got a serious amount of strength in it. The front has got our normal super flange with an oil vein. We've got our upgraded pinion bolt, and obviously the casing is one of our ultra build peg casings. So this beautiful little baby is off to Chris to fit in the front of his truck. What a diff. And it's a 10 spline, and it's probably the strongest 10 spline we've ever built, or will probably ever build. Absolutely beautiful. 5 thou backlash, not 1/1000th of an inch run out. 0. Can't get much better than that.